Hello and welcome. Today we've got Mr. Trumptastic, who is in the financial career industry. And today we're going to be discussing about Nasarajara. Now, just before we begin, we can subscribe to my Telegram channel and to nicholasveniamin.com for my free email updates. And I will also leave Mr. Trumptastic's links below as well, so you can follow him too. Now, if you're watching this for the first time on YouTube, I will leave the link below in the description for the full interview, unless, of course, myself and Mr. Trumptastic can agree to choose our words wisely due to the censorship that's happening on YouTube, which is absolutely insane. And we're hoping that Mr. Trump will be making an announcement this week for big tech, as he said earlier last week. Mr. Trumptastic, thank you for joining me. How are you? And if you could give us, tell us how you are, and also give us a little bit about your background and who you are.
Well, thank you, Nicholas. I appreciate you having me on the show. I just want to first and foremost thank you for everything that you're doing, everything that you're doing for this truth movement, and what you're doing for humanity. And I know the background that you have, that you, in terms of sacrificed your legal career for this. And so I really, really respect you a lot. For myself, I've been in this movement only for essentially a year. I started doing videos of August of last year. My background has been primarily in the corporate finance space. I've been in it for 25 years in the banking side, commercial lending, but I've also become financially independent, investing in the United States stock market. Interestingly, ironically, if you will, since it's the cabal system, I had no idea that was the case. All I know is I was a big Trump supporter. As soon as he got elected, it just went to the moon. And then I became in a position where, I was able to achieve that. And I didn't think that would happen. I thought it would take years or a couple more decades, but I was able to do that since he did that for me. I've always been a fan of his. And so once I, looked under the hood to find out what was really going on in this world in terms of, the truths, right? Being woken up, it just took it to another level. And so that's how I got plugged into this, this movement.
Absolutely. So we've got new followers, new people who are newly have awakened up to this, what's happening around the world. I'm trying to be careful with my words here. And people are not aware. They're aware of the matrix. It's falling down, and we know that Trump is on the good side. Now, how do we explain the viewers? There's two agendas happening: Trump's agenda and the deep state. And one of them is the deep state won the Great Reset, and Trump wants Nasarajara, and Nasara being National Economic Security and Reformation Act, which was passed in the year 2001. And it was going to be announced on the year of 9/11, but it did. But there, I believe people believe that the attacks happened to stop that from being announced. Do you want to tell us a little bit about what Nasarajara is all about before we get into the details? Tell us, what is Nasarajara? What does it mean? What kind of an impact would it make to our daily lives?
Sure. I've done a lot of research on this, as well as listening to Charlie Ward's videos. And so Nasara essentially is going to free us from enslavement, because obviously we've been in a cabal system, which is usury based. So essentially, and tax based. So it's been really restrictive in terms of, restricting us from being free sovereign citizens. And so what we're doing, essentially going with Nasara, we're going to go from the corrupt high income tax system that we have. And now we're going to go to a system that's more of a flat tax, first and foremost, on non-essential goods. Also, like essential goods like, food, medicine, and stuff will not be taxed. So also we're going to have debt forgiveness, which is going to, release us, because usury is illegal. So it's going to essentially wipe that clean for us. Also, I think we're going to see coming up, and I think POTUS has talked about this a lot, we're going to see a stock market crash somewhere in the vicinity of 25 to, I've heard as high as 55%. So we'll just have to wait and see what happens. So that's, part of essentially exposing the corrupt cabal system, because it's a highly manipulated the stock market's not evil, and neither is Bitcoin and all these assets, right? They're just evil because the people behind it, right, are evil. The deep state players, right? So through this, I think he's essentially going to drain the swamp and show the people as to how corrupt the system is. So I think that has to be cleansed out. So we're going to go to a flat tax and a system that I think is going to be beneficial for humanity. We're also going to receive universal basic income, I believe, because these are not free money. This is money that's provided to us because the cabal stole that over the course of time. So I don't think, and I've heard some they owe us a lot, but I don't think we're not going to get all of that all at once. I think 45 and 17, they're going to provide it and more of they're nudging it in, right? So in phases. And I think this is to graduate the masses, because if you give an enormous amount of money to everybody, it would be chaos, more or less, right? Because we see these entertainment and movie stars that cannot handle it. They'll spend it all. So I think it's going to be nudged in, and I think as everybody, every single person on this planet will be able to get enough money to at least live, so they can really pursue their dreams. And so that's the way I think we're going into more of a love vibration, 5D. It's going to be, ups and downs till we get there. But that's the ultimate, I think, purpose is what Nasara is, as well as world peace. Mm-hmm. I just can't I can't wait to get to that point.
It's been said that the ZIMs are bonds only, not recognized as currencies, but bonds that can be redeemed by the government only, I'm assuming through the military, since they are taking over the government. So what happens to those who need substantial amounts of money, who have proven that they have a great plan for humanitarian projects?
Yeah, my understanding is that you're exactly right. The ZIMs are a bond. It's not a currency. And I just got educated as I plugged into this movement and talked with anons and investors that have been in this for, over decades. And so ZIMs are bonds. So I think at minimum, it's going to go 1 for 1 is what I've been hearing. If you do have humanitarian projects, I think when you go in to exchange it, if you can essentially not prove it to them, but show them that, what your intents are. And obviously I've been hearing that there's going to be extensive background checks on people that get it, because it's just an enormous amount of money and they're going to be tracking everybody. So that's good to know, because, I think the alliance does not want to finance or refinance evil. So there's going to be a lot of scrutiny on that, which is understandable. But that's my understanding, is that if you have a great intent, you're going to get a higher contract rate. Which is going to be more than the 1-to-1, and from then, that's the direction that we're moving towards, more for love vibration movement.
There's a lot of talk right now with the Iraqi Dinar. Do we have any news on when they would be revaluing? And do you think that it would happen when Trump returns, or could it happen in the background until Trump maybe returns? What do you think?
Yeah, I think that it's. And that's the whole thing that I was researching and observing, is that I thought it was going to happen when he gets back. It doesn't necessarily have to, because I think there's only less than 1% of people are essentially really involved in this reset in terms of the currency revaluations, right? So, just truthers like us. And I know that from Charlie Ward, listening to him, my understanding is that the revaluation is essentially done in Iraq. It hasn't been posted yet in the Forex. And I've been watching every day to see when that happens. That's going to essentially, I think it's going to happen before, 45 gets back. I think there's tremendous pressure, I would have to assume, by the Chinese elders and also the Iraqi people. They don't want to just sit around and wait to the, U.S. military, okay, go ahead and take your time. I think they want closure. They want this to go through. So it's good that we have that, because we need the pressure to push it to the finish line. And I think that I've been hearing that there's, from this movement, that I think we've got past a critical 62%, or there's some kind of magic number that, people in the spiritual as well as the truth movement side. So we have to get past this number. And so, I've been hearing Jasar has already been implemented in certain countries. So if that's the case, I believe that we're past that point. And so I think we're starting to see it because General Flynn also said, right, in his recent video, I think with Ann Vandersteel, that you're going to start to see explosive things happen after the 26th with his 45's rally. So I'm just looking forward to seeing it, right? And as we watch this movie unfold.
It's very difficult right now to find currencies because, they're out of Iraqi dinars, they're out of, dongs. And when I go on eBay to find one, I can't find the amount that I want because there's such a limit. So I just want to let the viewers that if they wish to buy, I will leave the link below in the description where you can buy. I believe it's Nasara.shop. I've used them before and I have purchased the amount that I've needed. So, and they're quite good. So I just want to put it out there to help people that want to have more. So have you heard about anything about the revaluations and the rates possibly on the Iraqi dinar and the Vietnamese dong?
Yeah. So for, I think these are rates that I've heard recently from Kirsten W., but I've also heard some of these rates on, your interviews with Rod Steele. So on the Iraqi dinar recently, I just heard that it started at 390, but then now, yesterday I heard that it kind of rose to like $6. So they're like, don't be too, in a rush to kind of cash it in. On the dong, I heard it's going to be somewhere around in a couple dollars. And so obviously these are street rates, not contract rates, because if you have a lot and you go into exchange these at perhaps a wealth management center at a bank, this is what I think how it's going to go, because I think that the banks are going to be, that swamp is going to be drained. So I think the QFS is already implemented. The reason why I say that is because, I have a fiance that lives in Japan, and I recently sent her, last night, some funds, and it got there within a minute. And so it's been, when we started it was around 30 minutes or, within the day. And then it got, 20 minutes, 10 minutes, 5 minutes, and now it's down to like a minute. So that tells me that the QFS system is, I think, fully integrated now.
Yes.
But I don't know. I'm just observing. I don't have any confirmation of that.
Mr. T is the first the first president to ever have control of the Federal Reserve and, combined with the Treasury. I wasn't sure if it was true, but then I came across this video that I would like to just play. It's very short. Here we go.
Oh yeah.
Just hang on. Let's just play that. Hang on.
Alexa, is the Federal Reserve owned by Donald Trump?
Yes. Federal Reserve System is owned by Donald Trump.
Yeah. So apparently, someone sent me that today or yesterday. Alexa even acknowledges that Mr. T is the owner of the Federal Reserve, or the alliance, if you like. So what does it mean to be the owner of the Federal Reserve? Because it was a private institution, a family-owned business from the high-level elites. So, what does it mean to be in charge of that? And what does it mean for the private families at the top, the 13 bloodlines, to have restrictions on what they can have access to now?
Yes, I think the 13 bloodlines are more or less, I think they've been taken out. I think the top of the Illuminati had been taken out. So there's probably their, sons or daughters, and I think they're probably, every time the 45 in the alliance take them out, there's probably clones, created and all that, right? So doubles or whatever they do. But with the control now, I think, 45 has the control. And then so therefore he has full power to expose it. And I think we're going to see that coming up. I just don't know how in which way. Interestingly, today is the 28th, which is the Basel III implementation. And so with Basel III, obviously that means that the banks must have reserves against unallocated gold, right? Which is paper gold. And so that obviously is very, very bullish on gold. So we should see explosions in the precious metals, which we're up marginally this morning, because I think at the end of the day, I think they're not going to show it that quickly. I think it may be a gradual, and then it'll pop. And so I think this week is going to be very, very, over the next 2 weeks until the July 4th holiday, I think it's going to be explosive. And I've been listening to a lot of, crypto analysts as well as gold and silver experts, and Bull Pony in particular is saying that he's been calling for, stock market crash before July 4th. And so it looks like, through my logic and intuition, but what I'm seeing is that all these things, I think it's going to be coordinated. With start is going to be in the Arizona examination. I think it's going to go towards other states, and I think it's going to start to snowball. And so we're going to start to see things that's going to be, essentially to expose evil. We might see Project Bluebeam, and I think I saw on your Telegram today with the big giant, and we're going to see things against the clouds or something. We might see that. So it's people are going to lose their minds, and I think we're going to see a stock market crash with that regard. But it's going to be short term, I think, because we know that when 45 gets back, or 19, if you will, that the stock market's going to explode. And I think Jack Kidd did some video with Charlie Ward that with Nasarajara, with all these 6,500 patents coming out with free energy, med beds, all these things can be pushed into, corporations, U.S. or, international corporations. We're going to see the financial markets surge over the next 2 or 3 years. So that's what I see, but we'll see what happens.
So when is your prediction for silver and gold to boom?
Well, I mean, I observed a lot like everybody else, the U.S. debt clock. So we're seeing gold, somewhere over 30K, silver over 4K. Might be higher because I don't check that very often. But that's the true intrinsic value of those commodities or metals. It's just been suppressed by the deep state, and so what happens is that they just suppress it and they trade it, just like all these meme stocks too. Same thing. They look at it, it has low fundamentals or a low growth industry. And so what they do is they come in there and they just push the price down. They leverage because, the deep state can print money and they can leverage, basically the whole balance sheet against something. And they just, get $100 million bonuses. And that's how it's been doing it. But now, since the alliance has control, as we saw with GameStop, right now we're starting to see with AMC, and there's a basket of meme stocks that I started to buy. AMC is because I heard on your video that it could go as high as like 55K or some crazy amount. So I just threw some money over there just to speculate, right? But we're seeing it. We're starting to see these meme stocks, and they're blowing people out when they're shorting it, right? When shorting it means when they're the deep state or these Illuminati players are trying to push the price down and just trade in a range and leverage against that. But once it goes up, then they're losing money left and right. These hedge funds are going to be taken out, and we're already starting to see that.
The mainstream media are consistently pushing negativity about the AMC stocks, what do you think about that? It's always the opposite, isn't it?
This is the way because I've been investing since 1994, and I've learned the hard way when the 2000 .com crash came. I lost a lot, and so then I just kind of recalibrated. And so, like everything that they say, I'm essentially going to do the opposite of. And so, and that's the reason why I got to be in a position now where I'm financially independent. I can essentially walk away from everything, but because of what POTUS did for me, then I'm was his biggest fan, and now I want to pay it forward to everybody that I know. And essentially what they say, and this is the thing, is against cryptocurrencies, right? They're so against it. So they're always, negative news, and they're always discounting everything that's part of the cryptocurrency. They're trying to restrict it. And that's the people's money, right? Because they can only control it to a certain extent. So Bitcoin, as well as all the other cryptocurrencies, XRP and Ether, and these are outside of the central banking system. Same thing with gold and silver. And so gold and silver is old school money. Cryptos are new money. And so I think you get a good basket of that outside of the central banking system and hedge your portfolio with minor or royalty stocks attached to precious metals. I think you're going to be fine as we go through this reset. So
how do we know that XRP is going to skyrocket? How do we know that? What do you say to someone when they're new to XRP and they want to know the basics?
Yeah, so XRP, I started researching cryptocurrencies back in 2016, 17-ish. Started investing in 16 late. And so XRP, since I'm in banking, it's always been the cryptocurrencies that's going to replace the SWIFT system. It's always been. So, so for me, just listening to crypto investors or listening to experts in the field, I started accumulating that. And so then I started to, once I got plugged into this movement, I've seen anons that I don't know if they have insider information, but they, are plugged into it. And I heard Charlie Ward when he talked through one of his sources saying that, XRP could be the coin that replaces the SWIFT system. And that's in line for what I know prior to me waking up. So XRP has always been the alliance coin. And if you look at, watch the financial markets, you always see that XRP essentially, everything goes down and it goes up because it's been, right now you can only get in an uphold. And obviously the SEC, which is part of the deep state, has restricted it. So that's kind of telling you already. Then we know from the Simpsons, right? They usually tell you what's going to happen. And then I think there was one episode where saying that XRP can go to $589 or something like that, $600 ish or something like that. So, from my research is telling me that, definitely get exposure to it because I think it is the essential bridge currency because cryptocurrencies, once we go into this new system, Nasarajara, all the currencies are going to be backed by precious metals, right? Gold, silver, or other assets, or whatever the countries have. And so essentially from that, then, XRP will be the bridge currency. So you have the US note, and then say you have Japanese yen, whatever the token is. The XRP will be the middleman that brings it over. And so indirectly, it will be backed by precious metals or assets, not directly. So anything that's using the QFS is going to be indirectly backed by precious metals. So in that system, it's highly valued. In our current systems, fiat is backed by, thin air, right? Everything is. So we just can't look at it that way. You have to look at it, what it would be. And then we already know that it's going to be, we're going to more precious metal backed system.
So let's talk about, Nasarajara in respect when it comes to wars and seizing military resources and stuff like that. Because Trump, Mr. T has, made peace deals, which is part of Nasarajara. In fact, Jasara. So the G stands for global. So Nasara is N, just for the viewers, and N stands for national, and Gesara or Jesara. I think it should be Gesara because G stands for global, and we use G, not J, for global. I don't know. That's what I heard. So that's what Mr. T has done. He's created peace deals, and he's never ever gone to war, which is setting an example of what Gesara is really about. So do you want to give us a bit more of what it means for Gesara?
Yeah. So when it comes down to world peace, that's one of the provisions that I researched of Gesara. And obviously 45 in his tenure, he was the only president that didn't declare war against anyone. And it's pretty, I try to tell this to people, but they're just so indoctrinated, by mainstream media. And so, he can cure cancer, he can do everything. And they were still they'll say he's at fault for some little thing. And so it's kind of frustrating from that perspective. But yes, I think under, Yasar and Asara, I think we're going to see what 45 essentially did before he left, is that he's connected everybody. It's 207 countries that signed up for this law or this, global system. And so we're going to start to see that come out. And, at the end of the day, I think we're watching a movie, right? At the end of the day, that's the context I got with talking to Scott McKay. He came recently for this Patriot Street Fighter, and he was saying that it's a pure wake up operation now. We're watching essentially a movie. I think that Illuminati is essentially taken out more or less. I think 90+% is taken out, maybe even more than that. So I think they're just smoking these last remnants out, and I don't think 45 would be out in rallies and General Flynn would be talking like, the way he is and going to conferences and all these, if we're still in a position where all of these things were happening, that the deep state was, at a higher level, I don't think they'd be out in the open, just, going to this amount of verbal and also being publicly. Right. So I think we're going to start, I believe that we're towards the end of this movie. So.
Absolutely.
Just have to see. Yeah.
I mean, I feel like you and I love Trump the same. I feel like we love him a lot. And I just want to say, I mean, I understand, and I'm sure you do, and the viewers, we understand Trump's his character and personality. He's a very proud man. He loves his country. And, for him to say the things that he says about the fight has just begun, and we are fighting the DS, and he believes that he's going to take back the Senate and the House. It's he wouldn't just be saying that. There's definitely something he has up his sleeve. Like he's 5 steps ahead, and if he says something, he knows that he always under promises but over delivers.
Absolutely.
That's how I see it. Not the other way around.
1000%. When he came in, and when obviously I've only been awoke for a year. So before that, when he came in, because he's a businessman, so I already knew that I said, this guy, he knows what's going on, and he's gonna make some things happen. And then when he showed, the masses or the sheep, he showed it, what they can do. And that's why everybody is now his biggest fan. It doesn't matter how awoke you are, if you're a 45 supporter. But once I found out that he's saving the world, I mean, he's saving humanity, saving the children in particular, because I have 2 kids myself. And, if anybody were to do anything to them, it would be like, I could see my, kids being in a position that a lot of these, kids are, with being trafficked, and it just took it to another level. And the respect that I have for him is just multiplied exponentially. And so now I just want to pay it forward as much as I can and get us to the finish line, right? So we can celebrate, because there's so much work to be done afterwards. So I just want to get there, and then obviously all the people will be coming to us. As truthers, right? All the 3D, people that I kind of disconnected with, I'm sure are going to be coming back at some point. So I'm just preparing for that. But at the same time, right now, just trying to make as much as possible in high vibration, and just trying to get us to the finish line.
Absolutely. This morning, Michelle Fielding contacted me, and she said that today is the tipping point. She's been channeling, and she never thought this before, because we both spoke about this and said it could take 3 to 6 months for the tipping point to start. She said that we're about 56, 57%. She said the tipping point is about 60, 62%, similar to what you said. And she says today is the day of the tipping point, and we shall see truths being exposed at a much faster rate. So I'm very excited. Wow. I mean, we had the rally. We had over here in the UK, Matt Hancock resign, who is the health secretary, who has breached all of the rules that he expects everyone in the UK to follow, which now for me invalidates all of those rules because the people that made them are not following them, which indicates, they are inconsistent, and therefore it needs to be investigated thoroughly. So, it's very interesting. I can't wait for what's happening. It's good. It's really good. So no, definitely.
Wow, that's exciting. I mean, it's like we were talking about. So I'm just praying, that we're going to see things happen. I do believe it. I can sense it. You can feel it. And it looks like July 4th may be something really special, right? So it just, but I'm seeing all the signs because we're seeing the RV, if it's in fact done in Iraq, they're not going to start doing that unless the threat has been marginalized. And so I believe that that's in line with the 62%. And I think everything has to be coordinated to an extent. I think everything has to be, and that's why they're saying that this is going to be an epic ending. So.
And when Mr. Trumptastic says RV, he means revaluation, because I have seen some of the comments. People are like, what's RV? No, it's not recreational. It's not recreational vehicle, but we can use that. We can use that as a code word, but no, it's very interesting, Well,
that's right.
Mr. Trumptastic, it's been absolutely fantastic to have you on. Thank you so, so much. Is there anything that you would like to say to the viewers before we finish?
No, I just want to say to the viewers is, first and foremost, thank you for providing me this platform and allowing me to express myself in front of your viewers. You're one of the top patriots that I listen to, and so wanted to thank you first and foremost. Also to your viewers, just as much as possible, remain in high vibration and Zen zone. I know it's been tough; it's been a long, rocky ride, but I believe that we're close to the end of this epic movie, and then we're going to finally be able to, I believe, get together and celebrate 5D and the Great Awakening. So everybody always know that it's simply Trumptastic.
Thank you so much. It's an absolute honor to have you. I would love it to have you back on my show. And, so please go ahead and book another one if you'd like. And
I will do so. Absolutely.
And thank you so much, and God bless you. And we'll speak very soon. Bye-bye.
Thank you so much. Take care.